can beckon. There are times when you must call. You can take a lot of reckoning.
Ah, fare thee well, Grateful Dead. The iconic band formed in 1965 in San Francisco's Bay Area played its final concert Sunday night at Chicago's Soldier Field to a sold-out crowd of over 70,000 fans, many of whom have been fervently following the band's long, strange trip for decades. Joining us now is WSJ culture reporter John Jurgensen in Chicago, who was there. John, so how was it? Did you cry? It's okay.
I'm an impartial reporter, Tanya.
Not when you're covering the Dead. Come on. So are there a lot of sad Deadheads in Chicago this morning? What's the mood there?
I think the mood is definitely more celebratory than sad. You know, it's the kind of thing where there was a communal experience there, and everyone was feeling the love of the history and also the music that was being played live.
So what are the reviews coming out of the last of the Fare Thee Well shows?
Well, it's definitely getting some mixed reviews, and I think a lot of people were spotting the band some points because it's been a long time since they played together as a unit, and also they had these new members in the form of Trey Anastasio of Fish, who was joining them, especially on the lead guitar line. So everyone knew that there was going to be a learning curve here too. So that being said, I think there was some uneven spots, but the soul of the band was there on display, and they certainly were capable of summoning a lot of the power.
Sure. Well,
that they had before.
How did Trey do? Because, I mean, he had huge shoes to fill. Jerry Garcia, for a lot of Deadheads, it was all about Jerry.
Yeah, well, he clearly did his homework and did tons of rehearsing. And I think, just as a master improvisational player himself, he was in his element, really. I think the tough part was them sort of learning to work together on stage in a live setting. Where the stuff isn't scripted. It's not all rehearsed. These long jams they do, there's no roadmap for that. So a lot of it is feeling each other out, and I think for the most part, they really made it work.
All right, well, what is it, John, about the Dead that seems to inspire such devotion from its fans? I mean, for decades.
How long do you have?
I asked this because I am married to a Deadhead, and I knew nothing about this until our marriage, but I have yet to meet a guy who went to prep school or boarding school in the 80s who's not obsessed with this band.
Well, there's a couple things going on. On one hand, it's the music, which is just, I think speaks to something more than just sort of the I love you, baby rock and roll ballad. They really touch something higher in their song lyrics, which are a lot more poetic than I'd say a lot of bands. You can say that objectively. Plus, it's the cultural experience. I mean, the sort of communal vibe that happens at these shows and sort of is perpetuated through the live recordings that get passed around. That really wasn't a big part of the mainstream for a long time. And so a lot of people found each other through the Dead and still relive those memories.
Absolutely. And I'm just curious how the musicians themselves have fared financially, because they've always been very unconventional in their marketing and the way they sold tickets. Has this business model, per se, worked out for them now in their later years?
Yeah, I would argue definitely. I mean, I couldn't speak to their personal financial statuses, but, these guys really sort of foreshadowed the importance of the live concert as a business foundation. They lived off of their tours for years and toured year in and year out because the recordings didn't sell that much. Now most musicians are in the same boat. The recordings don't sell because people don't buy music. But that's what the Dead always did. And plus, it's not as if the band has been off the road for 20 years. Right. Individual members have their side projects and have been touring a lot on their own. But to coming together for these shows, big payday, I'm sure. I mean, in terms of the 5 concerts and all the ancillary stuff that's happening from merchandising to pay-per-view streams.
Sure. And do you really think this is it? I mean, I think I may have remembered there was another, final tour a while ago.
Well, they'd have to a lot of explaining to do if they went back from a Fare Thee Well concert.
Right.
There'd be a lot of explaining. Right? I think some people wonder if they can really hold off on that again. But
right.
It sure felt like the end of an era at these shows. If not in the present, we'll see in the future.
Well, a band who wasn't known for a ton of onstage chatter certainly had some poignant parting words last night, didn't they, John?
Yeah, Mickey Hart, who was the lone guy who at the very end took the microphone to say, be kind, which of course are 2 words that mean a lot to the Dead community. It's sort of a slogan that's often heard. And those are the words he dropped at the very end while exiting the stage. And I think he spoke for the band and probably a lot of people in that room.
Yeah, and I think probably even Jerry would have approved. All right, thank you so much, John.
Thank you.